If you have ever Googled bed sharing or co-sleeping, you're going in for a clear answer and you come out more confused than ever. You go on social media or TikTok and you come out not knowing what you should think. Terrifying warnings from one source and normalization and reassurance from another source. I want to explain why that is, and the reason is actually more interesting than you might think. Welcome back. My name's Joanna. I'm a mum to a 2.5-year-old and an 11-month-old. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm on baby watching duty. It's my third resettle so far, so I might be in and out. I am making short videos on evidence-based academic papers, data, whatever, on various parenting topics from breastfeeding, baby sleep, mum sleep, mental health, education, nursery, literally anything that I think is an interesting subject or study. I'm going to be talking about it. If you like the idea of that, please do hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have you stick around for another video. The core tension is this. The American Academy of Pediatrics states that it cannot recommending bed sharing under any circumstances. So when I go online and Google about co-sleeping, the AAP will always be there saying you should not co-sleep, and that then strikes fear into me. But health authorities in the UK, Spain, Norway are moving away from this blanket never bed share advice. The difference between having my first baby, who's 2.5, to my second baby, who's almost 1. Midwives with my first baby, they were very much like, don't bed share. Where are they going to sleep? With my second, they were like, where is we going to sleep? If you're going to bed share, here is the safe guidance. Completely different attitude. They now acknowledge that bed sharing does happen. It just does. And it often happens at times when you are most sleep deprived and most vulnerable. And now authorities, midwives, paediatric teams are focusing on guidance on how to reduce risk when it does happen, as opposed to telling mums that they shouldn't do it. The same evidence base, the same babies, but different conclusions. Let's talk about it. So the answer lies in what the evidence is actually about. There is a solid consensus across all authorities that bed sharing in certain hazardous circumstances significantly increases the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. And those circumstances are specific. Sofa sharing, sleeping in a chair with a baby, which carries the highest risk. Parents who smoke, and even if not in a bed, a parent who has consumed alcohol or sedating medication, a baby who was premature or a low birth weight, as those babies have less robust arousal responses. These warnings were built in around these scenarios, and the evidence for risk in those situations is very real. Now, where those authorities diverge is what happens when those risk factors are not present. So the AAP takes the position that because of these studies can't control for all variables, they cannot endorse bed sharing even in low risk situations, like with a sober caregiver, a safe space that's been set up. The European position is that blanket messaging without nuance doesn't work, and it may be creating the risk itself. So for instance, if you tell a new mum, don't bed share, and then she's really, really tired, she's not sleeping, and then she takes baby into sleep space, and because she's so tired and she doesn't know anything about safe sleeping, that baby's then at risk. So you want to avoid those circumstances in the first place by educating and telling people how to do it safely if they are going to. The argument was made compellingly by Professor Helen Ball at Durham University. Her position was that many parents will fall asleep with their babies at some point, regardless of the guidelines of saying don't do it, particularly for breastfeeding mothers who falling asleep during night feeds is practically inevitable at some points. If you're a breastfeeding mum, you may well know that when your baby latches on, it creates oxytocin and relaxation, so actually it can be really easy to fall asleep yourself while breastfeeding. And if those parents hadn't been given information on how to reduce risk in those situations, accidental bed sharing can be more dangerous than informed bed sharing. Withholding that information in the name of safety may not be safe. So for breastfeeding mothers specifically, there's another dimension that is worth understanding. The AAP itself recommends breastfeeding as one of the protective factors against SIDS. There is solid evidence there. Bed sharing is consistently associated in the research with longer breastfeeding duration and better breastfeeding outcomes. So night nurse nursing is easier when a baby is close by, and research suggests that mothers' sleep architecture synchronizes with babies when sharing a sleep surface. Both of the mother and the baby dyad, they're both more arousable, which basically means that if you're sleeping in the same bed as baby, you're both going to wake each other up. But that's good because it prevents against SIDS. And because if you're breastfeeding, you just put your baby in their mouth and you both just fall asleep like that. So those frequent night wakes don't actually really matter because you go out to sleep quickly. So we're in a position where we have guidance that has evidence for two things, breastfeeding and proximity, but those two things are being pulled apart by the guidelines itself, designed around a completely different risk profile entirely, which is being drunk, sleeping in chairs, for instance. So I want to be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that bed sharing is risk-free. Of course it's not. The warnings still matter. What I'm saying is that the risk is not uniform and it completely depends on your circumstances. So practically what this means, if you're bed sharing or considering it, or it happens sometimes but you feel a bit scared, you have to know the specific hazards. So sofa or chair sleeping carry the highest risk. So sofa or chair sleeping should be avoided entirely. They carry the highest risk. So a firm adult mattress with no heavy bedding around the baby, a sober non-smoking parent, particularly a breastfeeding mother. This situation is completely different than the scenarios that the warnings were designed for. So the Lullaby Trust in the UK now offers a risk framework that you should look at if you are considering bed sharing. And if you're formula feeding or you have any other risk factors present, like smoking, alcohol, extreme fatigue, or prematurity, the evidence against bed sharing in those situations is well founded and is worth taking seriously. So I would recommend that the honest answer is that bed sharing is safe or is not safe. It depends who you are, depends what your circumstances are, depends how you do it. It's not a cop-out, it's just what the research says. And ultimately you deserve to have the information so that you can make the right decision for you and be as informed as you can to make this the right safety assessment for your situation. If you like this video, please do hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have you join me, see my other videos I've got on my channel. Let me know in the comments, do you bed share? How have you found it? Personally, I have gone from non-bed sharing to bed sharing with my second, and I think it has really made my life much easier. So take that as you will, and I'll hopefully see you for another video soon. I'll see you later.